Welcome back. We have a Navy ship's commissioning, prison criticism, and a Swampers passing. Oh, and more coke on the beach. I'm Mike Morgan, and we're down in Alabama. On Saturday, a Navy littoral combat ship will be commissioned in Mobile, Alabama, reports AL.com's Lawrence Specker. But first, the celebration. There were no Mardi Gras parades in Mobile this year, but tonight, look for the city's Tardy Gras parade to roll from the Civic Center. That's right, I said Tardy Gras. Since they're trying to make up for lost time, there are a bunch of mystic societies participating in this one parade. You might even catch a moon pie along Government Street. Parade starts at 6:30, fireworks at 9:30. Then at 10 a.m. Saturday, in a private ceremony with limited audience, LCS 26 is scheduled to be commissioned and officially named the USS Mobile. In addition to being commissioned in Mobile and named after Mobile, the ship was also built in Mobile by Austal USA. It'll port in San Diego and will soon head across the Gulf, through the Panama Canal, and up to California. The state of Alabama is trying to forge ahead with a plan to have built and then lease new men's prisons that would theoretically be safer and more efficient to staff and would allow for more education and rehab programs to help inmates have a better chance when they get on the outside. Of course, that's part of a response to a Department of Justice demand that the state get its prisons into shape, after the DOJ determined during an investigation that Alabama state prisons were so bad they were in violation of the U.S. Constitution. In a lawsuit, the DOJ said safety and conditions amounted to cruel and unusual punishment. Well, now AL.com's Mike Kaysen reports that the DOJ has filed an amended complaint to that lawsuit. Quote, in the 2 years following the United States' original notification to the state of unconstitutional conditions of confinement, prisoners at Alabama's prisons for men have continued daily to endure a substantial risk of serious harm, including death, physical violence, and sexual abuse at the hands of other prisoners. The unconstitutional conditions are pervasive and systemic across Alabama's prisons for men, as indicated by facility-level data and as illustrated by examples of the violent sexual abuse, excessive force, and unsafe and unsanitary conditions, end quote. The complaint pointed to, among other things, the 16 men killed by other prisoners during the fiscal year 2020. We mentioned here about 23-year-old Ian Reddig's stabbing death one day before he was scheduled to be released from Fountain Correctional recently. Well, Reddig was one of 3 killings at the hands of fellow inmates just that week in Alabama prisons. Alabama Department of Corrections spokeswoman Christy Simpson issued a response, and I'll read part of it here. The state remains disappointed by the DOJ's unwillingness to acknowledge the substantial investments and improvements made by the Alabama Department of Corrections with the additional resources made available by Governor Ivey and the legislature, end quote. Roger Hawkins has passed away, reports AL.com's Matt Wake. Hawkins was a drummer with the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. That's the Swampers, and you know the Swampers, as in they've been known to pick a song or two. He's reportedly been in poor health in recent years, and his death means there's only one Swamper left with us, bass player David Hood. If you live in Alabama, you probably know a little about the history of the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. If not, it's worth looking into. When you're talking about impact on R&B and rock and roll, you just look at what's come out of those studios in Muscle Shoals and Sheffield over the years. The magic there is why everyone from the Stones to Aretha would make the trip to Alabama. Among other recordings, you can hear Hawkins playing on Wilson Pickett's Mustang Sally, Percy Sledge's When a Man Loves a Woman, some of Aretha Franklin's best stuff, Ronstadt, Redding, Willie, Merle, Buffett, on and on. And I know for a fact some of my Seeger fans are listening. You're wearing your black jeans and Python boots right now. It's our Friday uniform. The Swampers backed a number of his studio cuts in place of the Silver Bullet Band, for example, Old Time Rock and Roll. Now, if you're going to go right now and find one song to listen to Hawkins playing drums on, check out the Staple Sisters' I'll Take You There. In the obit over at al.com/life, Matt Wake wrote about the story of how that came to sound like it did. There's an update on the cocaine that washed ashore on the Alabama Gulf Coast Monday. AL.com's Howard Koplowitz reports that 4 more kilos have shown up, 3 found on Fort Morgan Road and another that was turned in to Gulf Shores Police on Thursday. That adds about another 100 grand of total value to the haul, and it makes about 77 pounds that have shown up on the beach this week. Authorities still don't know the source of the drugs, and that's probably unlikely to change. One of the packages had what looks to be an image of a 1976 booking photo of Pablo Escobar, the notorious drug kingpin who was shot to death in '93. I reckon smugglers have heroes too. Thank y'all for listening. We'll be back here again on Monday. Y'all have a great weekend, and come by and see us whenever you can on the internet at al.com.